morning. Welcome to a new episode of ETRetail Cafe by ETRetail. I'm Charulava, your host. We have with us today P. Mohammed Ali, who is the CEO of Retail of Prestige Group. Welcome, Ali. We are going to make your Monday morning interesting. We're having some interesting chat with him. So, Ali, tell me, how was your childhood like? I mean, were you always interested towards the mall industry? Or it happened by chance for you? I mean, from childhood to your career. How was it like? Tell us in that journey.
Well, it is a very interesting story, and I've shared this in the past. So, retail came to me as a hobby. So, I was studying, I was doing my MBA, and at that time, there was this movies that had got Shah Rukh Khan's Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, a few others, which had a very interesting element. So while people were enjoying the romance part of it, these movies had one more element to it that was fashion. And some of the brands that Shah Rukh Khan wore went in India at that time. So that became a kind of a trend where people started, wearing those clothes. But then for that, we have to go abroad. So thankfully, I had a friend who was traveling abroad very frequently. So he used to buy those clothes for me, and I used to wear them to college. So it so happened that when I was, studying, so a lot of friends, they asked me, where did you get this and how did you buy this? And I want this. So can I buy it from you? I said, I've been using it. So I'm wearing a watch. And somebody said, I'd like to buy that watch. And I said, no, I don't have a new one. But he said, no problem, I'll buy this one. So, okay, fine. So I'll give him a price. So whatever my cost was, I doubled it. Oh, and then I told him, okay, this is the price, and he immediately took it. So then that became the trend. So a lot of people started approaching me. And this friend of mine, yeah, and this friend of mine was visiting frequently, thankfully. So I established a connection with him. So what I used to do was that I used to wear these gadgets and these gears, and then I used to, first is enjoy them wearing. At the same time, somebody or the other will keep buying it from me, and I'll keep getting to wear new ones. So that was how I got to know brands, because then I became very close to them. It became a hobby. It was also a source of income for me. I was earning my pocket money, and I was really enjoying it because what they say, have a cake and eat it too. And I was a living example of that at the age of 18, 19, 20. So I had a lot of fun doing that. So, but I tried to know a little more about the brands and what these brands are, why this is so special. And none of these brands were in India at that time. So very few opportunities for people to buy them. Either you travel or you get it from someone who's already traveling. So that is how I got to know brands. Little did I know that a decade later, I'll be talking to their CEOs and trying to get them into mall spaces and doing business with them. I had not imagined.
So how did the shopping industry happen to you?
So being a Bangalore boy, Prestige is a Bangalore-based firm. One of the most respected companies of Bangalore, even then, 20 years before. So, and they were into real estate. So I kind of tried getting a job. I was looking for a job, so I tried getting a job. But something very interesting happened. So when I came to Prestige, they said, we are building a mall, which is one of the first malls in the country, and a reference came. So would you like to explore that? Because for some reason, I told you how I was dressing and all those imported clothes and all that. So maybe they saw me in that attire and they felt that this guy is suitable for a mall, job. So that's how I got introduced, and I said, sure, fine. And then that's it. I met this gentleman who was a CEO there, and then he gave me a presentation, and that's it. There was no looking back.
So if you have been with the organization, you started your career with an organization, you're still with the same organization. You started your career with the same brand, you are here after 20 years with the same brand. I mean, the brand has grown with you, they do have grown with the brand. So when we talk about the little learnings that you have gathered over here, but for those learnings and how it shaped you to be a better human being and a better professional.
So I think staying with an organization is a two-way street. So if you are happy with the environment, and then they are happy with you, so I mean, you can stay connected. But while being in one company, in one division, I have had multiple roles. So that is one thing that was very interesting that happened in my career. So I started off with leasing, then I moved into operations, then I moved into development. So leasing was easy because I was familiar with the brand, so it was easy to uh, wear fashionable clothes and meet the people behind the fashion, and then connect with them. And I'm a salesman, so I learned sales. So it's selling a story, selling a dream, selling a concept. So I was enjoying that, and that was doing very well. Then there came a time where I was challenged to take over operations, which is not something that I have been doing. So that change I accepted, and that was a game changer for me. So I started managing a mall at a very early age, which was the erstwhile Forum Court. So early 30s, I am managing them all, and there are suddenly some 400, 500 people reporting to me, and I'm responsible for this asset. So I took that challenge and learned the operations. And then suddenly there was another change which happened where I was challenged to the development of a product. So there I was exposed to the project side of it, the construction, and then the budgets, then the timelines, and services, and MEP, and so on and so forth. So that was another change which happened. So I kept changing my role, and I kept learning new things, new dimensions, I would say, which gave me a holistic picture of a development. So, and then of course, marketing has always been part of it. So that was an interesting part of the journey. So at Prestige Group, we are an open organization. We are, encouraging people to get involved, and then take the whole 360-degree angle from a work point of view. So there's no restriction like, if you're from finance, you have only look at finance. If you're an engineer, you have only look at construction. So it's an open organization. Everybody is welcome to explore any angle, and wherever they have an interest or a skill set, they can, develop that skill and go ahead with their career.
So when you started getting the brands to the mall, that was a time the organized retail was also growing here in India. So one brand that you fondly remember you cracked off and you were really happy about at that time. Yes, I've got this brand to the mall. I'm really happy. Which was that brand?
Oh, there were many because this was one of the first malls. So almost every brand there was a brand for the first time. But in particular, I would say Apple. So we opened the second Apple of India, second Apple store of India. And the best part was that the entire ground floor was leased out. And there was no space for Apple on the ground floor, which is what they demand today. And we managed to sign Apple on the second. And when we were leasing, I was struggling with the second floor because we leased out the ground floor, we leased out the first floor, but the second floor was challenging. So we thought that it will take some time. We have to open the mall. And then once we get footfalls, then maybe stores will start signing on the second floor. But signing Apple on second floor was a game changer because we had no other space in the mall. So we convinced Apple to sign, and that was a very interesting move. And then the whole floor became an electronics zone behind Apple. So that was a very interesting development. We also signed the first McDonald's. Today, McDonald's takes space in the food court. Well, those days it was a phenomenon which had just come to India, and people wanted to experience it. So we gave a very large store on the ground floor, and then the queues that were going for a kilometer at least the day McDonald's open. So that was the time.
A different era altogether, fond memories and everything.
People exploring brands, people exploring concepts. I mean, it happened a little late, but whenever it happened, people embraced it with open arms.
So yeah, I mean various roles in the company. Which was the most challenging role for you?
Every role has its own challenge. Every role is different. It has a different bag that we have to understand. It has a different skill set requirement that we'll have to learn. And all the roles have been very, very interesting. But the best part of every single role is that no matter what role you're playing in an organization, the end goal is same. So while the departments are different, the common goal remains the same. That And for us, from a mall point of view, it's not opening up the mall. So when you are working 5 years on a project, you don't win on the day that mall opens. The work only starts after the mall opens. So what we have to do is multiple things. But the most important thing is that you create a wow factor for the customer, a value proposition from a customer's point of view. So when we inaugurate the mall, we open an asset which is worth several hundred crores. Uh, the value is perceived from a customer's point of view, not from the companies who have invested, not from the stores who have taken spaces, not from the company, the real estate player who's not taken this old development. The risk. Everybody's taking this for sure. But the success of the project is measured from the value proposition from a customer's angle. If the customer sees that there is a lot of value in this location, then that mall is successful. But if customers fail to see a value proposition from their point of view, then that mall is challenged. The future of the mall is challenged, or the success of the mall is challenged. So while developing a project, the perception is that we have to see from a customer's point of view that he should find this value.
So, Ali, when we talk about consumers as a reduction from the consumer point of view right now, so consumers then and now have changed a lot. Their expectations have changed from malls a lot. How have you seen those expectations changing over the time?
It's nothing to do with mall as such. The customer's expectations changing or their habits changing is a common phenomena happening all over the world across every single product category. Like if you take the airlines or how people were traveling and what they were expecting from an airline industry or from a service provider is very different today. If you see the hospitality industry, what people were expecting 20 years back and what they expect today has changed. So change is inevitable. It's part of life service. It's nothing different. But the lifestyles have changed. People have become bolder and they are more experimentative. They are not holding back. They don't want to follow the whole the cultural aspect of it. They want to define the culture in a different way. That's the most interesting part of it. So we all have a cultural element, right? We have cultures in our life, and culture is something which has historic value. So it is coming in from generations, and that's why it is culture. But what is interesting today is that the young generation, the generation next, the generation that we all represent, we are trying to change the dimension of the culture and giving it a personalized twist. I wouldn't call it a modern twist. It's a personalized twist. So I celebrate a certain festival, but I do it in my way. I am dressing up for Diwali or Eid, but I am doing it in a different way. And it's all fine now. So those changes were not there before. So before people were following a certain set precedent. Okay, this is how you're supposed to dress on Diwali. This is how you're supposed to dress on a wedding. This is how you're supposed to dress on Eid. And that was something that had to be followed without any change. Today, we are able to make changes. Today, we are able to add a personal element to it, a personal dimension to it, and everything is fine. So that's the best part of it. So people are experimenting, people are changing, people are adding a personal taste, a personal flavor to anything and everything. Today, the way weddings are happening, the locations in which where weddings are happening, and what they're wearing for these weddings, it's all very personalized. Everybody's doing it in a different way. So there's no set precedent, but still it's part of a culture.
So, how was cope up in such a culture when the consumers are changing, the expectations are changing? Everybody is expecting a post-life experience. So, isn't it challenging for malls to make sure they stay relevant for each and every consumer?
It is. It is not easy. But if you spend enough time observing how people behave and what people do, why people do, the why is the most important part of it. It's not like how much business happened. It's not about how many people turned up for the event. It's not about how much was the footfall during the festive season. It's the whys that we have to go chasing. Why they did this, why we didn't do that. So there's always a pattern that is established. Why multiple people will behave in different way, there's a common thread that is established. Okay, I think this seems to be the pattern. This seems to be the thread that is always going to be challenging. I mean, if that was something which is given to you on a platter, then success is given to you on a platter. The fact that you will have to go looking for it and find something. And I mean, at the end of it, you might not even find it inside a mall. You might find it somewhere else. You might find it in an Instagram post. You might find it when you're traveling somewhere else. You might see something very interesting. And it's a hunch. You feel this will work. And most of the times, what has worked for us is we are bringing the old aspects of the childhood memories. Like we are trying something different. We are trying to bring a carousel inside. A carousel has been part of our childhood memories. Everybody has been enjoying it. So we bought a carousel and we gave it a different theme. We gave it a different decor element. We worked with an artist who created a different decor, and we're going to have a live carousel revolving in the ETRetail. And so the audience for this is not a toddler. Anybody and everybody who's there in the mall, regardless of his age, they'll find this aspect very interesting simply because this is not expected.
Yeah.
This is not something that people will normally expect to see. So they come for a festival. They'll expect to see, or if it's Christmas season, they'll expect to see a Christmas tree. Nobody would have thought that they will actually see a carousel, and they will all participate in it. So it's a simple idea, but it's a hunch. Like, okay, something like this might work. Something might. So we tried something. One more element which is already happening in our house is like this. There's a concept called Navratna. It's been there part of the culture. So it's a big box with 9 boxes. It's a big setup with 9 boxes. In each box, 9 different artists sit down and they perform Carnatic music, and then they do it in synchronization. But sitting in these 9 boxes, in 4 floors, in 4-story, it's made in a certain pyramid fashion, and it's live in for a mall in South Bangalore as we speak. And the audience's response is phenomenal. I mean, we could see that happening. So it is something which is novel, it is new, it's surprising. I mean, we surprise ourselves trying to do that because we thought about it. We don't know how it will look, but we went for it. And when it came out well and it was appreciated and the concept was doable, I mean, it's not like the artists were falling off and they had safety features and so on and so forth. But finally, when the first performance went live, that's when even we got to see how it's going to be received and how it's going to come out. And we were pleasantly surprised, and we were thrilled ourselves doing it, and the customers were thrilled seeing it. So I think going for these novel ideas at times it is key, but yeah, this is what you have to do because it is nothing new. It's something that we pick up from history, something we picked up from the past, or something which is a childhood memory, and we gave a different spin, and it is interesting, and people are loving.
So I think touched upon the consumers. I don't understand how the expectations of brands have changed from the goals.
Um, Before it was a ladder-tenant relationship, before it was a transaction, before it was a preset association where the expectations were predefined, and the definition was in a document. Definitions were mentioned in a document, and you can expect only what is mentioned in the document. So this is the rate, this is the deposit, this is the lease term, this is the escalation, and that's it. Today, it's not that. Today, it's a partnership where it's a win-win proposition where you create this environment and atmosphere. And if this atmosphere is a win-win, then it is win-win for both. And if it is not win-win, if it is a lose-lose, then we both lose. So either you both win or you both lose. The win-lose, like somebody wins and somebody loses, might happen in high street. It might happen in some, standalone building. It doesn't happen at malls. In malls, it is either win-win or lose-lose. There's no win-lose. So both win together or we both lose together.
So I mean, I'm just saying, because I just to understand. For example, X brand has a presence in A mall and B mall, right? The expectations might be different, right? That happen that brands succeeds over there and Amazon succeeds over there. Can it happen like that? Same brand trying to create same kind of experience with two different partners? One is a success and one is a failure.
Always happens, has been happening, and forever happening, and will continue to happen. So it's just like you have these film stars, they make a movie, it's a blockbuster. Next movie that they release is a big flop. And then the following movie can also be flop. But suddenly there is a big movie which will actually be a hit. So this is because something which is common here is that the end result is controlled by the end customer, the consumer. So they are the deciding factor. So if it connects with them from an overall scheme, so it's not like in a movie you can have a song which is good, but then the whole movie is not connecting. It doesn't work like that. So everything has to connect. So one brand might do his job. It's just like you're hiring an actor who comes, does his role, and he goes away. But if the director who's stitching everything together, if he doesn't know how to stitch, then the movie's flop. So before there used to be movies running based on songs. If songs are good, the movie does. And there was a time where action movies came into if you have good fights in the movie does. It doesn't matter if songs are not good, if the story is not overslept. But now it's not like that. Everything has to stitch. So an actor, even if you take Amitabh Bachchan, there are several movies of him which have not done well in box office. But how can he be blamed? Because he did his role, and he did his best, and he's an expert. He's a master in his game. So he did his role, and he went. And after that, it is up to the director to stitch everything together. So every brand that opens in a mall will do his role. A Nike will open a Nike store like they open anywhere else in the world. A Tommy Hilfiger will open a Tommy Hilfiger store like anywhere else in the world or in the country. But the 50% of the mall that have been developing in India have failed, where these brands have shut down. It's nothing to do with the brand. It's how you stitch them together, how you tell a story. So, like I said in the beginning, the value proposition that a mall has to offer is measured from a customer's eyes. So if it is a value from his perceived eyes, then the mall is successful. So at the end of it, a customer will not see one store or one floor. He'll see the whole mall and everything that has to be, that is there to offer in the whole 360-degree aspect of a development.
So, I mean, brands are growing, malls are growing, consider expectations are changing. What are the challenges currently for the malls in such a scenario?
So, malls can be very predictable. Malls can become tiring after some time because you keep going to the place and you know what's there. You know exactly where this particular store is, how many floors this mall has. And, you kind of, they say that, in India, you close your eyes and you can all mount the same time. You go to one mall and you're being to all the malls. So trying to create some surprising element, trying to create something which customers didn't expect. You didn't exceed expectations. It's not about exceeding expectations. It's about providing something that customers would like, which they didn't expect to have. It could be something basic, like the carousel I mentioned. It could be how you put the brands together. Why follow the same path? Like, all normal way, what's all sports way, or why don't we mix it up? So at times when it's mixed up, you offer something else. So at times so you need to keep changing. That is a challenge where you can engage a customer for the longest time. That's challenge. So for that, what we are seeing now is that instead of moving along with the themes and interiors and brands, there's a new element that we are thinking about, which can engage customer for a very long time. Something that they will love, something that they will never get bored from, something that it's part of their life. And if we bring that element to the mall, maybe customers would, find value, and then the value proposition will increase. And that element is biophilia. Biophilia is nature. So in a controlled environment, in a man-built structure, it's not a natural structure because it's man-made. So it isn't. But if you bring nature in, then if you bring biophilia in, then every human being has this intrinsic ability to fall in love with biophilia. We are made like that because we are born from the nature. We are born into nature. But we live in the artificial world, in a concrete world. So if your concrete can take the shape of the nature, then you have changed the game. You have changed the proposition, where people will value. So wherever Wi-Fi has been the star, like the Changi Airport, Jewel in Changi, and they took a bold step. They created the largest biofilm experience that anybody has created in a shopping environment. And there are many, many malls that are there in the world, where a lot of biofilm elements, natural plants, rear plants, natural ventilation, natural light, natural materials, natural stone. So we're talking about ventilation, we're talking about natural materials, natural wood, anything and everything from nature is recreated in a modern environment. If we are able to achieve that, it's not going to be easy. It has its challenges, managing life plants and trees, making them look good, and making them as beautiful as it is a natural environment. It's not going to be easy. It's going to, Bangalore City Airport had it in India, and several offices I have seen where. So this is something. So I was saying that human beings have this natural ability to fall in with nature. So because they're born from nature and they are born into nature, so they're supposed to be in nature, and then we create these concrete jungles. So we are supposed to live in real jungle. If you can create that inside of all, then what will happen is customers will find it very interesting about this space, and they want to spend more time because it's intrinsic proposition within their falling in love with their environment. So they will spend more time, and the more time they spend in their environment, more consumption will happen. So consumption is linked to the time that we spend, and time in the positive energy. So it's a mood enhancer. So if you're in good mood, you end up spending more than what you naturally would do. So when you go to a supermarket, that's not the time and the place here, because it's a needs in the shop. So you're very specifically looking for certain things that you want to satisfy the need of that time in a rush. But when you come into an environment like this, you end up buying things that you actually don't need.
True. I said it to a point. But when you talk about the online brands cropping up, they was dying, like people used to go to malls and shop. Then COVID hit us, and it was a Lakshman event, which we all went through. They gave birth to a lot of online brands. And now these online brands are doing omnichannel. So do you think the amalgamation of online brands with malls is the only thing that holds a big future for brands?
See, no brand is an online brand or an offline brand. A brand is a brand trying to sell a product and to customers who are supposed to perceive it as a certain value and exchange with a certain value. If the value from a customer's point of view is higher than the business, or if the value perceived from a customer is lower, then the brand doesn't have any future. So the channels that people use to launch these brands, the easier channel is the online route, where you don't have to worry about the real estate. You can focus on your product, and then through online interface, it becomes easier for customers to see. But it's also very crowded because there's so many brands and there's so many products, and it's not easy competing in that on square inch space. So there's so many people trying to compete there, and that's also not cheap, and that's also very expensive for you to be heard, to be seen, to land. And then the algorithms are continuously changing. So even if you post a certain ad, or these many people will get to see it, and then it's only getting complicated. So it's not like online is easy. Who says online is easy? It is not. It's more complicated. Now, you're from Times of India. I can book a front page ad with you, and then 99% of the people who read newspaper will spot that. Nobody will miss it. It's very rare that somebody will miss a full page ad.
Yeah.
But online, how are you going to measure it? Because the algorithms are very complicated. So it's very expensive. It's not predictable. So it's just a brand. So online, offline, it doesn't matter. It's a short-term phenomenon. At the end of it, it's the customer. And online is convenience. I shop online, but there are certain things that I shop online, but there are certain things that I shop offline. At times, I start online and I end up buying offline. At times, I start offline if I'm and end up buying online. It's just that moment, where you want to go for it, where you want to go for that career, where you want to, your tax paid money, you want to spend buying something which you actually don't need in your life. It's just that decision making, and everyone is doing it within the minds. It's coming from here, it's coming from here, it's all happening inside you. So it's that moment where you say, okay, go for it. So it really doesn't matter. You need both. If I had a brand, I would have my presence offline and online. Because at times, like I just said, I will see it offline, but I might not buy it, and I might sleep on it. But after that, I might, when I have decided to buy it, might be when I'm in an important meeting or I'm flying from place A to place B. I just think about it, and then I say, okay, the moment the flight lands, I want to offer that, and then go for it. So it's just that moment where you want to unleash that. You say, I give up. I'm not going to try it. So at times it might start online. You might see something on your phone, and then end up buying offline. So when that will happen, we don't know. So as a brand, you need to be in both the places, and then you need to be ready. So whenever the customer is ready, you want to be there.
So technology is playing a big role in actually playing with the minds of the consumers.
Absolutely. At all times. I mean, it's made it unavoidable now. There were times that people can shut themselves and say, I want to go for it. I want to live this kind of life. But then today they come out of home, and then there are different ways that brands are trying to attack you, take your mind space.
So when we talk about technology, Ali, how do you think technology has helped malls cater to the consumers in a better way?
Well, while it has simplified a few things, it has also complicated many other things. The operations parts is simplified. The energy is conserved with the help of technology. So our air conditioning system, our electrical system, our heating system, light system, it's all sensor based, and then there are a lot of control elements which are predicting the times in which you need certain surge, and those are monitored. So it's not like continuously running the equipments throughout the day. So those elements are saving a lot of energy, and that helps us manage better. Safety and security also, you don't have to deploy so many people. And with the help of cameras, we're able to monitor and then reduce even traffic management and vehicle management are now managed with directional signage, real-time signage, and so on. So there have been many cities, the food court, food ordering, for example, it's not just at home, but even in mall, they sit on the food court table and can order from any kitchen and just get a point to. So hence, it has added a lot of convenience, and at the same time, it has added a lot of complications. So customers are that much more difficult to reach, customers are that much more difficult to understand, and that much more expensive. It's still easier to prototype every day.
So when you talk about technology, people are apprehensive about if AI comes in with full blow, or maybe some other technology comes in, they might take their jobs away. I mean, have you had any such fear of your life? What if technology takes your job one day? What will you do then?
I'll go for a long bike ride. And I'm waiting when that time. I would want it, because if they can take this job, I would do some other job. I'll always be ahead of technology, because technology is created by mankind for the convenience of mankind. If your today's job is done by technology, that means it is free your space to do a job of tomorrow. And then we will invent technology to take that job also. And then we will try and do something else. I mean, why do the same job every day? Like I told you, I go for the long bike ride and big Kashmir all the way. And then during that ride, I think about the next job.
Nice. So, Ali, what was the last question? How do you see the future of malls shaping here in India? And what vision do you have for the prestige?
Okay, so there's an information that we all know that India is the most populous country in the world. That is one information. But if you dwell one step down, a little deeper, you'll also get to know that we are also the youngest population in the world. So at the outer level, we are the most populous country, but when you go down, we have the highest amount of 20 something citizens in India than anywhere else in the world. You go down one more level and analyze a third information, we're also the fastest growing middle class in the world. So when you add this to information, the opportunity and the potential for consumption as such is the highest in the coming years. And India is going to be at the forefront because the world has seen they have gone through all the phases and they're going through some changes, but we are just starting to, because of this population, because of this silent state, and because of the growth that we are seeing. So it's a bright future. There's going to be a lot of consumption which will happen. Every brand has exhausted themselves all over the world. They have gone there, they have gone east, west, they have exhausted. The only market left for most of them is to explore is in India. This is where the next consumption will happen. And we at Prestige Group have very ambitious plan. And we are having 16 malls as we speak. 4 malls are live and 12 malls under construction. We are looking at 10 billion by 2028. We will inshallah have 16 malls, 10 million square feet across all metro cities of India, including Delhi, Mumbai.
That's wonderful. So before we wrap it up, Ali, let's have a rapid fire with you. And I don't want to give you time to think during this rapid fire. So my first question is, which is your favorite business book and what have you learned from?
The book that I have many books actually, but I can think of one book is called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The Art of War, widely it's written by R.B. Chandra, compiled from several teachings. Japanese have been at war. It's an oldest civilization, and every old civilization has been through war. So, Art of War is compilation of the learnings of war, of how they engage in a war and how to win a war. So now, what has war got to do with business? It has a lot to do with business. Today, that book, The Art of War, is read from a business perspective. It is a very deep, insightful business study book than the war. And there are many, many learnings from that. Very interesting. I've read the book multiple times because you can't really understand when you read it first time. But one thing that, one element that is mentioned in that book is that the best war is the war that you win without fighting. The second best war is the war that you fight without losing. And the third best war is the war that you lose without perishing. And the reason why it is mentioned and how it is relevant from business point of view is the best war is the war that you win without fighting, is how you don't get into competition, the red ocean strategy. You're always steering ahead with innovation, which is a blue ocean strategy. So you don't have time to fight with anyone, and then you don't want to compete, drop prices, take competition head on. You're always inventing, you're always innovating, you're always moving ahead. You're always looking for the blue ocean strategy, new ideas, and your product and your USP is always unique. So we don't have time to waste your resources to waste one competition, and that's the best case scenario. The second best case scenario, that's the gold standard. The silver standard is that you fight without losing. When you fight, obviously there will be some losses. So that's why it's the second best. But now that you have to fight, now you're not engaged into a battle, but you fight without losing. You don't lose, and you try to win. There might be some casualties, but still, you don't lose. You still win the competition. That's the Koda war or any war that you can talk about, but you win. The third and the third category, the last category, the bronze category is when you lose without perishing. That means you know that you're going to lose. But now you don't spend your time in trying to win, except that you're going to lose. But you focus on not perishing. The reason being, if you don't perish, then you have a chance to fight again. It's like, live for another day. And then you don't perish. You lose, fine, but you see how you can still stay in the business. And if you're in the business, then you can get to fight again. So these are the three ways you can look at business. Very interesting insight. These are centuries old teachings, but I think it's an amazing insight from a business point of view. It's so relevant even today.
right? So one retailer or one brand I could admire and why?
Oh, that is difficult because as many there are products in the world. In each product category, there is somebody who's doing phenomenal work, and they are very admirable. So it all depends on what product you're talking about. But if I have to speak about one, then the product which is closest to my heart is watches. So I follow watches. I love watches. So uh, then in watches, there are these few groups who control the watch industry. There's a Richmond Group, Swatch Group, Rolex, and so on and so forth. There are these brands which you can't buy with money. And that fascinates me. How you can make a product, how you can create branding, how you can position yourself. This is beyond winning without fighting. It's the next level. Uh, it's not gold. It's like platinum. Like the goal was that you win without fighting. This is beyond that. So there's no fight, and there are people queuing up. Like for example, Rolex. Like for example, what about like for example, Patek Philippe. These are the brands where they are selling their products at a very high price, very very high price, and yet you cannot buy them with money. You tell me how is that possible? I really admire them for having won that game and having won that position because it has come with a lot of effort. We can even, at times when I speak about this, people find it difficult to absorb that there's a waiting period going on for years to buy that watch at a month. Sure. So I think those are the brands which I just mentioned. They are exceptionally different than this is not there in the world normally. I mean, in any product category, you will not find something like this.
Okay, what if not in the retail slash shopping center industry? What you would have been doing?
I think I would have been a dancer.
Really?
Yeah, I think I would have either being had a dance academy, or I would have been a teacher, or maybe I would have been on the stage dancing and entertaining people. I really love that.
Okay, so people know that they were running the show here at the Prestige Group from the vintage perspective. What do you do in your free time?
Family, I try to spend as much time with family. And that's very relaxing and very interesting time for to spend time with them. Traveling is something that I really love. I love traveling, trying to go different places, nature, biophilia, as we mentioned. So I like to spend time with biophilia. And apart from that, I have these two hobbies. I ride bikes. I go on rides almost every second week, twice a month. I'm on bike. Sometimes these are long rides going up to 1,000 kilometers at a stretch. So that is something that I enjoy doing on highway. If I'm baking sun and if I'm riding this 1,000 cc bike. So that is something that I really love doing. And of course, watches. I spent a lot of time with watches. I browse them and I clean my watches, and it's an amazing time pass for me. I take my walks out and spend time with them, look at them. On Sunday, I wear two watches. Other days, I wear one watch. On Sundays, I wear two watches. So I literally do two different ones in the morning, two different ones in the day.
Oh, nice. So my last question to you, Ali. Lots of brands are coming up in India, lots of brands out. So entrepreneurs are burning their hands, building their way, their own brands. So I need three advices that you would love to give to them to make sure they succeed in the business what they build.
I think if you have to see the brands that have established themselves who are clear market leaders in the world today, one thing is that their focus is always the customer. So they are trying to understand the customer and provide a value proposition which, from a customer's point of view, is higher than the price that they are paying in exchange for the product. So as long as the perception is I'm getting more than what I'm paying, that brand wins. So the focus has to be the customer, and what the customer expects today might be different tomorrow. So if you keep your focus on the customer, then of course you will be able to build a better brand. Second is invention. So what happens is people try hard, they try to get a USP, get an idea which works for them. So once it starts working, once it starts clicking, they become complacent and they stop amplifying that. So whatever your USP is today, which has given you an edge over competition, has to be amplified. You need to keep growing it out of proportion, trying to reinvest in that USP. Not try to see this as a cash cow that you've got a lottery and you've got this edge and now chill, relax, go holiday, Tuscany. You have to reinvest on that USP and then see how it can become bigger and bigger. Because most of the big corporates of the world, $100 billion companies that we have, they have the value proposition, whatever they were offering, they were focusing on the same value proposition, but they have grown out of proportion. They've added different dimensions to the same product. Today, what a mobile phone can do. I mean, you're doing banking transaction. You're transferring millions of dollars by touching palms. So, I mean, at that time when they invented smartphone, they didn't think that all that was possible. So the one value proposition of the touch, the access, has been blown out of proposition. They are adding different dynamics to it. Today, I'm sure people are taking calls, on wars also to the same thing, which is the sad part of life. But yeah, so people are using that as well. So imagine the dimensions that have been added once, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So whatever your USP is, you need to keep growing it up. You need to keep adding it. You need to keep reinvesting it. There's no time that you can say, okay, now I start cashing out. Now let me relax. So that is something that you can't have. And the third most important thing that I see a lot in prestige work and the management of prestige, which I know being my bosses, is at some point of time that you can drop your guard, you're hiding discipline because this is work. It has a certain value proposition. You need to respect it in a certain way, and you cannot, take lightly business or the customer or the whole value proposition. You have to be very serious about it, and you can't play fool with it. You can't, take it easy at any point of time. So the discipline part of it is something which is got to be the way of life.
That's nice. It was really a pleasure talking to you. I loved the conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you. Same here.
Thank you so much for watching it. I hope you also enjoyed the way we enjoyed this conversation. If you liked it, please share on the social media and like it, and also comment on it. I'll see you next week, the new retail, the new story. Till then, bye-bye.